related to the derivatives fiasco of 2012. And shares of the newly privatized Royal Mail are soaring during their stock market debut. 2 hours after the start of trading in London, stock up more than a third. Surge, though, fueling criticism that the British government undervalued the company and therefore sort of changed taxpayers. But it still put $2.8 billion Canadian into the coffers of the UK government. And Canadian job numbers out. Stats Canada is reporting little change this September, growth of 1.2%. The unemployment rate declined 0.2 percentage points to 6.9%. Employment gains were seen in finance, insurance, real estate, and leasing, as well as natural resources and agriculture. Manufacturing, public administration saw a bit of a decline. So let's break down those numbers, explain what it means to the employment situation in Canada. Geoff Bagg, he's president and CEO of the Bagg Group, Staffing and Employment Agencies. Jeff, great to see you again.
Great to be here.
What did you make of this report when it first came out?
Well, the numbers aren't hugely spectacular either way. 0.2% change. Putting it in perspective, though, that's still an increase of 212,000 jobs since last year. So that is really good.
Yeah, the big picture overall. I also noticed that the 6.9 number is below 7%. That's got to be good news.
It is, and it's good because it positively impacts on people's psyche. Because again, there's people out there watching that are out of work, and a lot of people are really governed by what do they see if the numbers are going up. If there's more employment, they feel positive, and if it's going down, they feel negative. So it's good.
Good point, because down in the United States, people have been talking about this whole participation rate, people giving up, throwing up their hands.
For sure.
That, to a degree, played into these numbers as well, to get them below 7%, but it can reverse.
It can. And so we encourage people to kind of take a broader perspective. And the broader perspective is, since the recession, there's still been 800,000 jobs that have been created, and that's almost double what was lost during the recession. So the Canadian economy does have more jobs. And at the end of the day, people aren't statistics. They're moving forward, and whatever the numbers are, people are still hiring.
Anecdotally, in your business, how broad is this? Is it focused on the tech sector, for instance, or is it a broad-based recovery in jobs?
You know, a lot of people focus on the tech sector, and we do too, so that's important. But there's lots of other areas. You know, you mentioned healthcare. It's an aging population. That just makes sense. Something that gets ignored a lot is trades, construction. Obviously, if you move outside of our province, things like energy and I guess engineering, especially in the provinces like Manitoba, and moving all the way out to even Alberta.
You know, it's interesting. You have the woes that are BlackBerry, and all these announced job layoffs from BlackBerry. On the flip side, you have a company like Apple coming in and saying they're going to run a job fair in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. I mean, is that a common strategy in the industry?
I think that in the industry that people will look where the opportunities are, and so we've seen that in the past. Years ago when Quebec had the big ice storms, people went to Montreal and started doing recruiting, and so I think you're seeing the same thing. BlackBerry's been in the news, another set of layoffs, and so it makes sense that people would go there and see what they could recruit, and could be good for some of the people that are laid off.
Yeah. How quickly is the job figure tied to the Canadian economy? In other words, if these are half-decent job figures in Canada, does that mean we've got a half-decent economy? Yeah,
so there definitely is a correlation. We find that as the economy goes up, so does hiring confidence. So having a stronger economy definitely helps.
But is it a dog or a pony kind of a show, or is it a cart, or, you know, does one lead the other?
I think that they're probably both intertwined, but having the economy goes up definitely pushes the jobs up too.
Does the time of year make a difference? These are September numbers. Does it make a difference that it's fall and people get back to work?
I think it does. It also, if we go all the way back to, say, May, we saw the decrease in youth unemployment rate, and that makes sense, May going into the summer, so you're probably seeing a bit of a reverse of that as we go into the fall.
Yeah. The other thing that happens, of course, these things are kind of seasonally adjusted, and that will play into that a little bit.
Definitely.
But is it the seasonal adjustment? The last few months have been crazy wild in terms of the volatility of these numbers. They're not particularly accurate. Is that at play?
I think that it hasn't been the seasonality as much as people have kind of questioned the validity and say how much influence Toronto has versus the rest of the province. And so I think they're going back and reviewing how they collect the data and whether the sample size is actually large enough.
Oh. So are we at risk that they don't get it right if they're changing things as they go along?
Well, I think overall the numbers are positive.